But that's a great fighting game. Really, it's an excellent fighting game. Now what me and Siegfried were talking about before you came in is how Nintendo shits on their Smash Brothers community. Now we talked about this on the podcast, Steve. But like you look at this list of games, and every year I always wonder why Nintendo doesn't embrace their fighting game community.
Mm-hmm.
It never. I look at the support that Capcom gave to Street Fighter, Namco has given to Tekken. Um, we'll talk about Mortal Kombat in a second. I know Ruben's going to disagree with me with what I have to say about them, but you look at all these other creators, they support their fighting game community, and Nintendo's the only one that doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like the game's not obviously the game's popular. Like before they stopped showing up, it was always their game. Like you said, they always had like one or two games at the main stage.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And every year when the Evo lineup comes up, is another year that Nintendo that I'm reminded how much Nintendo shits on their fighting game community. And it's sad because they have look, I don't have to like the game to understand. Well, I wouldn't say not. I don't have to like the community to not understand the popularity that game garners. And it seems to me that Nintendo simply does not care. And it makes no sense to me.
I mean, it honestly doesn't. I mean, you have, the same way I described it before, you have a fighting game that can have party game mechanics attached to it. It doesn't have to be like that. You can use it as a competitive fighter like you would these guys here. But ultimately, I think it's Nintendo doesn't want the game to be portrayed in that way. Like, it doesn't want to be portrayed on the along the same lines as your Street Fighters, your Tekkens, your Guilty Gear, your Mortal Kombats. They don't want to associate with that, and that's why they're trying to essentially monopolize their control over Smash Brothers by having it not be featured here in Evo.
Well, even with that, Nintendo should completely cut their losses because that's not going to work. Not putting it on Evo is not going to change the Smash Brothers community's mindset. We're still going to play the Smash Brothers game as competitive as possible, the way we see fit.
I completely agree.
They're wasting their time. They're wasting effort into it. All this would have done is just help Nintendo in the long run. Because again, that community is not going anywhere just because you removed it from Evo.
Absolutely. The scene is still there. The people are still there. The players are still there. The community is still there. So whether Nintendo likes it or not, they're here. They're here. They're playing. They're playing casually. They're playing professionally. They're playing at a competitive level, and you're seeing amazing talent in this game. With if you actually look at the mechanics of a Smash Brothers fighter versus some of these other games, you can see that the combat system is very, very different compared to your more traditional fighters like your Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. So to have people play at a level that you see in some of these videos, I mean, it's a no-brainer why it should be always on an Evo lineup. But at the same time, what sets it apart from other fighters is what also, again, makes it unique to a point where Nintendo can say, you know what, we don't want to be associated with these guys by having the game appear alongside Mortal Kombat.
Ruben says it here. He said that it seems like Nintendo seems to want a Mario Party over a competitive combat system.
Yeah.
And, they have what you have, embrace it.
Exactly.
But they for some reason they just never gravitated to that community.
And that's it.
I don't get it.
Like
But
Yeah, I think, and what and the other thing I wanted to add, additionally, it's if Nintendo truly wanted to, make if they hate the fact that we want to play a particular game competitively, well then stop making the game then. If you really despise the gaming community that much, well then stop making the game. If you really despise your own fan base, stop making the game. But they're not going to do that because the money's there. So
they know they have the support.
yeah, you can't have it both ways. You just can't. You have to accept the fact that we have the option to play it as a casual, fun, party, family type of game, and we have another option, and we can manipulate it the way we want by removing all the items, by playing just one versus one if we want to. We have the option to play it either way we want. You should be happy that you are catering to both fan bases, whether if it's the casual market or the competitive market, the hardcore audience.
it
Fact that
seems to me.
Go ahead.
No, I'm my bad. No. You can go. You can go. My bad.
Yeah, the fact that there's actual games out there that is attracting both people, and not a lot of games could do that. You know what I'm saying? Like not a lot of games could do that. And some rated aims were able to accomplish that, like Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty. But when it comes to Smash Brothers, the fact that you are able to attract casual audiences, kids, young adults, grown ups, elderly people, and people who like to play the game, competitively, that is something you should absolutely embrace. That is like the ultimate goal for gaming as a whole. You are attracting everybody, and yet you don't want that. Yeah, get on my face with that garbage.
Well, I mean, like, here's a perfect example. Look at this lineup of games: your Street Fighter, Tekken 8, Guilty Gear, Third Strike, King of Fighters, Mortal Kombat. How many of those games can you sit down and say, "Yeah, I play Street Fighter casually. I play Mortal Kombat casually, just for the hell of it"?
Well,
Most people that purchase these games, they're doing it and playing it with the intent, like, I'm gonna get good, I'm gonna play online, I'm gonna kick some ass.
the game that of all those games, the game that sells the most here is MK1.
hmm
MK in general always sells the best out of these games here.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll explain that in a second. The last thing I'll say about Nintendo and the Smash Brothers, Sakuraba, to me, I think he wants to embrace the community.
Okay.
I don't think Nintendo doesn't.
Big
Nintendo in
bosses,
general doesn't.
basically.
Yeah, and I think so. Like, cause look, when they make a Smash Bros. Game, they invite the pro players. They do. They invite them to play the game, test the game out, and all the other stuff. When it comes to listening to feedback, they listen. At least Sakuraba listens. But when it comes to actually putting putting money and effort into supporting the Smash community, they failed miserably.